Hello, my miraculous friend, and welcome to the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. This is Reverend Frances Fayden, and I'm so excited to be here with you today because today we are doing a very special episode just for the miracles of Christmas. So we're going to take a look at the miracle map that is hidden within the Christmas story that you can follow to magnify your miracles. But before we get started, let's go ahead and get ourselves grounded and centered. If you're driving, just keep your eyes on the road. But if you're not and you're just listening, take a few deep breaths with me. Give yourself permission to let go of whatever happened before you started tuning in and whatever might be happening later, and just come as deeply into the now as you can. Every time we give ourselves this beautiful gift of being in the present moment, we can feel the presence of the divine right here, right now. And as you allow yourself to come more and more deeply into the now, we're just going to ask that your inner eyes, ears, and heart is open as wide as possible so that you can really receive this story today. And that this map that is revealed to you is something that you can use in this new year. And being so grateful, let's take one more deep breath together in gratitude. And we can begin. All right, well, welcome once again. And I just want to mention to people that if you are more of a visual person rather than an auditory person, you can always watch these episodes on my YouTube channel. And if you do, you will see that right now I am wearing my Santa hat and my red scarf, and I am ready for this Christmas energy. So I want to talk about the Christmas story. Now, this isn't about trying to get you to believe this story, because you may or may not follow the tradition of Christmas, and that's perfectly fine. I'm an Interfaith Minister, so I honor everybody and everything, and I find miracles in every tradition and everywhere that I go. But this particular story is really powerful, and there's so many opportunities to learn about the path of miracles if you listen. So I'm going to ask you to keep your ears open for as many miracles and opportunities for miracles that you find in this story. So when we last talked about this story, we were talking about what not to do when an archangel answers your prayer. We heard about Zacharias, who is the father of John the Baptist, and how he was giving all the reasons why his miracle wasn't possible. So we already know that. But let's pick up the story from Mother Mary. So Mother Mary has Archangel Gabriel visit her. And the very first thing that she does is she says yes to her miracle. So right there on your own personal miracle map, are you saying yes? Not maybe, if this happens, then maybe. Well, I'll see. Only if this happens first, right? These are things that we tell ourselves. You got to say yes to your miracle. Like, yes, you're making a commitment. You're making a decision. This miracle is for me, and I'm going to see it all the way through. So whatever that is for you, Mother Mary's first teaching to us is to say yes to your miracle. And then what does she do? Does she go to St. Joseph and tell him? No, she does not go to St. Joseph, because she knows that St. Joseph does not yet have a miracle mind. He's not miracle minded yet. So what does she do? She goes to see her cousin Elizabeth, who is herself in a miraculous state. She herself has said yes and is receiving her own miracle, because by this time, I think she's about 6 months pregnant with John the Baptist. And so Mother Mary goes probably to help her cousin, but also to be in that energy. And that's the first time that we hear Mother Mary say anything, because her cousin Elizabeth recognizes that she also is miracle-minded. And it is Elizabeth who's the first one to honor Mother Mary and to really acknowledge that miracle energy within her. So that's another key piece in your miracle map. Make sure that you're surrounding yourself with miracle-minded people. And I'll just give you a little hint here. One of the things I'm going to be doing to help you with that in the new year, or in early January, is I'm going to be creating a free Facebook community that you can join for all the subscribers to this podcast and all the people who want to magnify their miracles. And I'll be telling you more about that, because we see from Mother Mary how important having like-minded, like-hearted friends really is if you want to be on the path of miracles. So Mother Mary immediately goes to be with St. Elizabeth and spends those 3 months there. And it's very significant that it's the 3 months. Of course, it's the last 3 months of Elizabeth's pregnancy, but it's the first 3 months. And one of the things we know about that first trimester is that's a really vulnerable time. And the same thing is true with you and your inspiration and your dream, and the miracle that you're really looking to magnify in your life is in the very beginning, it's a vulnerable time. You don't want to talk about it with just anybody, because you can have people who are going to squish that energy or not going to believe it, and could even do harm, not meaning to do harm, but could be doing harm to that. So you want to be around miracle-minded people. And then we have the character of St. Joseph. So Mother Mary goes back to her home and she tells St. Joseph. So I always like to think of this story every year of who am I in this story this year? One of the powerful things about hearing a story over every year, like a lot of people will watch the movie It's a Wonderful Life, or there's things that we do annually this time of year. There's things we do annually other times of year too, but there's so much mysticism and mythology this time of year in these stories. So when you hear it, or if you're watching a movie and you watch it again, you might see or hear something that you didn't get a year ago or the year before that. Why? Because you're a different person than you were a year ago. You've had a whole other turn around the sun, and you have a different level of consciousness than you had previously, and you can be touched by these things. And so every year with the Christmas story, we have an opportunity to see, who am I in this story? Am I Mother Mary? Now, Mother Mary represents your soul. She represents the heart. She represents the part of you that is open and receptive to divine inspiration. It's the part that says yes, yes to that miracle. Now we have the energy of St. Joseph, and what does he represent? St. Joseph represents more of our logical mind. Now, he is a kind-hearted man. If he was really super conservative, as people might think that he was, we would have a very different Christmas story, because he never would have said yes to this miracle. He would have just followed the rules, done what everybody else does, done whatever the rabbi at the time told him to do, which was written in the law at the time. And there was no way he was going to say yes to Mother Mary and yes to his own miracle. But he also has the opportunity to experience a miracle. Well, what happens with St. Joseph? St. Joseph, in his sleep, has a miraculous dream, and he has an encounter in that dream with the angel, I think it's Archangel Gabriel, who tells him, Mary is telling you the absolute truth. This is a miracle, and you are also chosen to be part of this miracle. And then what does St. Joseph do? He says yes to the miracle. So part of what you need to do when you're working out your miracle map, we want to honor the logical mind, but you don't want to be held hostage by that logical mind, because the miracle mind needs to go beyond that. The miraculous mind that you have can utilize your logic, absolutely. But if it's limited by your logic, you're going to end up like Zechariah, not being able to really enjoy and receive your miracle the way that you could. So what happens is he's able to access, he's open on another level. It comes to him in a dream because his logical mind is so strong that it can only come to him in a dream. But once it does, he says yes. And then what happens in the story is they have to go back to his hometown, or the town of his ancestors, because he is of the house of David. So they have to go back to Bethlehem for the census, because the Romans are requiring that there's a census. And this is a really interesting part of the story, because often when we're given our inspiration, our thought, our miracle, we have to be willing to do something different. We have to be willing to go outside of our comfort zone. So they have to leave the comfort of Nazareth and then go to the energy of Bethlehem and do something that they might not have already done. Now, by this time, Mother Mary is expecting any day now. She's what they say, very full with child. And so logically, this is not the thing to do. You wouldn't want to get on a donkey and travel for a week or however long it was. And yet she's willing to do something that she's never done before so that she can experience that miracle. Now they get into the town of Bethlehem. Now we know the story, right? They get into the town. The town is so busy. There's so many travelers coming through for the census because people have to go back to the land that they're from. And there's all these travelers happening. Well, St. Joseph is looking and looking, and all the places to stay are full. And by this time, he really needs to find a place for his wife at the time, who is getting ready, like right then and there, like her miracle is about to happen. So we know the story of they go into the inn, and there's no room at the inn. Now we want to recognize that the innkeeper has an opportunity to be part of a miracle. He has that opportunity. But the innkeeper, where's his focus? His focus is on his business. He is like, nope, I have no time to be, doing anything other than what I'm doing right in front of me. And he is the essence of busyness. And I have been the innkeeper in my own life many, many times where a miracle has knocked on my door and saying, are you ready for me? And I'm like, no, I'm way too busy. I have other things I need to get done, right? We don't prioritize it. So the innkeeper actually, because he chooses to stay busy and what's right in front of him and what he can see and handling all the busyness in his life, he actually loses his opportunity. But the innkeeper's wife sees the opportunity and says, let me show you where you can go. And so the innkeeper's wife also comes to help Mother Mary later on. And so St. Joseph ends up bringing Mary to, they call it a stall, but at the time it was really like a cave where the animals were kept, and doing the best they can. At least it was dry. At least it was relatively warm. And she was able in that space to receive her miracle, which is the birth of the Christ child. Now, we also have the energy of the shepherds. Now, here's the shepherds. They're doing their business just like the innkeeper, but the shepherds are out at night tending to their flock, and suddenly an angel appears to them and says, rejoice, I bring you tidings of great joy. So what is this part of the miracle map, right? This is about staying alert and awake to the signs that come. So yes, you might be running your business, you might be at your job, you might be taking care of your kids, you might be doing your day-to-day life. But when a sign shows up for you, pay attention, watch for those signs. Because as soon as you say yes to your miracle, those signs will happen more and more often. And those are the ones that are guiding you. So those shepherds, they're amazed. At first they're afraid, but then they're amazed. And they say, let's go and see. So what do? They take action, which is another key part of magnifying your miracle. Is you look for the signs, you got to follow the signs, and then you take an action. So for them, the action was to go into Bethlehem, and they were told where to go and what they would find, and they did. And they were able to witness that miraculous energy. Now, we don't want to forget that we also have the energy of the three wise men. Speaking of following the signs, the three wise men are tuned in at a really high level. They're able to study the stars and the astrology of the time and to navigate across foreign lands, this thing that they don't even know for sure. They're just reading the signs to say, we think something's happening. Now, historically, it's probably not that the three wise men came right at that time, right that same week. It was probably several months later, but still, it's a key piece of the story of this miraculous energy, because the three wise men come, and then what happens is they encounter King Herod, and this is where Herod finds out that there is someone born in his kingdom who is being called a king. And he feels extremely threatened by this. And he acts as if he's going to cooperate with the three wise men. But secretly, as soon as they leave, he starts hatching a plan. What can he do to get rid of this newborn king? Now, this part of the story is really important for you with your miracle. Remember, we said in the beginning, you want to be around miracle-minded people. You might find that there are some people who are actively not wanting you to have your miracle, or their energy is just so negative, or they feel so threatened by your success that they can become a dangerous energy for you. And the reason I'm sharing this part of the story and why it's so important is because I've worked with so many women over the years in my private practice and my private spiritual counseling and my spiritual coaching practice. And very often they'll be either married to somebody or have somebody in their family or a friend who every time they talk about their dream has something negative to say, or maybe that person is depressed or whatever it is. They just can't energetically support you in that energy. And I say to them, well, why are you doing that? Like, why are you either staying in that relationship or why are you sharing this with that person? And invariably they would say, well, if I was spiritual enough, I would be able to help them. I would be able to change them. And I always say to them, here's Mother Mary in Bethlehem, in Nazareth, in Judea. King Herod, he is not supportive of her miracle. In fact, he wants to destroy her miracle. Mother Mary doesn't say, let me stay and the power of my love will change his mind. No, she doesn't. She receives the three wise men. She receives their gifts. She receives the news that they say to her when they say, you need to get out of town because this guy, this king, he's not in his right mind and you're in danger. She doesn't second guess her wise advisors. She takes what they say. She talks it over with Joseph. They pack up the family. Joseph has another dream, by the way. He has another dream where Gabriel says to him, your family's in danger and you need to go, and packs up the family and they go to Egypt for several years, 3, 4, 5 years, something like that, until King Herod passes and it's safe for them to be back there. Now, this is one of the most important pieces of this story that I really want you to understand is you want to take really good care of yourself. You want to have really good boundaries. And if you are in any kind of situation where people are being negative and you're being affected by that negativity, you have a hard time staying in an uplifted space, you find yourself losing your inspiration, you find yourself overcome with doubt, you need to get out of there. And whatever it is that you need to do. Now, I might be sounding a little bit dramatic. For some of you, it may be dramatic. For some of you, it might just be that you don't talk to that person about what it is. But if you have a lot of negative energy in your life and you're telling yourself, oh, I'm here to help this person, or it's my job to help them see, please compare yourself with Mother Mary, who is able to hold the Christ consciousness energy inside of her for 9 months. I would say if anybody could change someone's mind and heart, it would be Mother Mary. And she left. She got out of there. The same thing with the Dalai Lama. When the Dalai Lama was in Tibet, he wanted to stay, but everybody said to him, you need to go for your own safety because this is dangerous for you. He did not stay and try to convince the Chinese to be nice to him. He left. So a really important piece of your miracle is to protect it, not in a fearful way, but in an honoring way, in a way that you're being very respectful of this very precious energy. Jesus himself said, you do not want to cast your pearls before swine. You don't want to take that which is so precious that's been given to you by the divine and have it be given to people who are going to trample it and who are not going to honor it. So in the spirit of honoring your miracle, you want to really respect that. So let's go just over a recap of this. Say yes to your miracle. That's the number one thing. Get around miracle-minded people. You want to affirm your miracle like Mother Mary did in front of St. Elizabeth. She just really said how powerful God was and that mighty things were going to be done through her. And if you've never read the Magnificat, please read it. It's so powerful. She's willing to go outside of her comfort zone and go from Nazareth to Bethlehem. And then later on, going from Nazareth to Egypt, she was really willing to go outside of her comfort zone and what she knew was possible. She kept herself open to the signs, and that's what the shepherds did as well. And that's what the innkeeper's wife did, was stay open, and they were watching for the signs and then taking action. The shepherds came and said, let's go see where this miracle is happening. Mother Mary also being willing to go to a town she hadn't gone before, and also being willing to receive. You want to welcome any help that comes. Welcome in the three wise men. Welcome in anybody or anything that's trying to help you. And then keep yourself in an energy that is uplifting you. Protect yourself from any negativity. And you might be thinking, what if that negativity is within me? Which it could be, right? That negativity might be your own mind, your own doubts. That's where you have to be very, very conscientious and keep yourself reading really powerful books that will keep you in the miracle mindedness. So I've already recommended 2 to you so far. I'll be recommending another one in January to help you stay in that miracle mindset. That's how you magnify those miracles. So I am wishing you a very Merry Christmas, a sacred solstice, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. I like to say happy everything, and most of all, a miraculous new year. If you did enjoy this episode, I would so appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes. And if you would like to get them when they first come out, you can go to my website, francisfayden.com/podcast, and you can subscribe to the podcast newsletter, and they will be delivered right to your inbox, right to your email inbox. So my friends, at this miraculous time of year, I just want to remind you that the key to magnifying your miracles is to remember that your miracle is already here. Bye-bye.